Welcome to SciSage, where everything is simple.
Have you ever spent a night just staring at the ceiling, wondering why you can't just fall asleep? You are definitely not alone. It's such a common struggle. But the good news is there are real, science-backed ways to fix it. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how you can master your night for some truly great sleep. We're going to tackle this in 4 key areas. First up, we'll look at your pre-sleep routine, what you do before you even get into bed. Then we'll get into how to craft the perfect sleep sanctuary. After that, we'll talk about the tricky business of bed partners, both human and furry. And finally, we'll dive into the world of sleep aids. So let's just dive right in. Because, and this is so important, great sleep doesn't start when your head hits the pillow. It actually starts hours before that. Okay, before we get into the how, we need to get a key term out of the way: sleep latency. It sounds super technical, but all it means is the amount of time it takes you to go from being wide awake to actually being asleep. So what are we aiming for here? Well, according to the experts, for a healthy adult, falling asleep should take somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 minutes. And here's what's so fascinating. It's not just about taking too long to fall asleep. Extremes on both ends of the spectrum can tell you something. I mean, passing out the second your head hits the pillow might feel like a superpower, but it could actually be a sign that you're seriously sleep deprived. On the flip side, if you're consistently lying there for 45 minutes or more, that might point towards insomnia. The key is to just pay attention to the pattern. Now, what you eat and when you eat it has a massive impact. Think about it. Eating a huge meal and then immediately lying down, that's a classic recipe for heartburn because stomach acid can easily travel back up where it's not supposed to be. The best practice is to finish dinner a few hours before you plan to sleep. And if you absolutely need a snack later on, just keep it small and steer clear of these usual suspects. And of course, we have to talk about movement. You've probably heard it a million times, but the research is just crystal clear on this. Regular exercise is one of the most powerful things you can do to improve not just the amount of sleep you get, but the quality of that sleep. We're talking more deep sleep, so you actually wake up feeling refreshed. Okay, so your body is prepped and ready for rest. Now it's time to perfect your environment. Your physical surroundings are the next huge piece of the puzzle. So let's build your perfect sleep sanctuary. So, is there a single best position to sleep in? Well, it depends. A lot of experts recommend sleeping on your back because it keeps your spine, neck, and hips all nicely aligned. The downside, it can make snoring and sleep apnea worse. Stomach sleeping, on the other hand, puts the most strain on your back and neck, but one study found an interesting little side effect. People who sleep face down tend to report having more erotic dreams. So, you can weigh the pros and cons for yourself on that one. Now for temperature. While everyone's personal preference is a little different, sleep experts have pretty much zeroed in on this range: 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 15 to 20 Celsius, as the absolute sweet spot for most people. And here's the crucial why behind that number. Your body's core temperature actually needs to drop to get you into that deep, restorative sleep. If your room is too hot, it's actively working against your body's natural process, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. And that brings us right to your bedding. This is huge. Natural fibers like cotton, linen, or bamboo are breathable. They let air circulate and help your body cool down. Synthetics, on the other hand, tend to trap heat and moisture, which can lead to one of those sweaty, restless nights. All right, your room is a perfect sleep cave. But what if you're not in there alone? Let's talk about how to navigate sharing your bed. I know, it sounds super dramatic, right? A sleep divorce, but it's becoming a way more common and accepted strategy. It just means a couple decides to sleep separately, in different beds or even different rooms to get better rest, especially if one person snores, tosses and turns a lot, or just runs at a totally different internal temperature. And you might be surprised how many people are doing this. A 2023 survey found that about a third of people have actually tried sleeping separately from their partner, at least some of the time. So if it improves your health and well-being, there's really no shame in it. Okay, now for our furry family members. Look, we love them, and many of us love cuddling with them at night. But when it comes to sleep quality, there are a few things to think about. Your pet can be like a little furnace, raising the bed temperature. They can jolt you awake when they start twitching in a dream. And well, they can track dirt and allergens right into your clean sleep sanctuary. It's totally a personal choice, but it's good to be aware of the trade-offs. So what happens when you've done everything right, your routine is perfect, your room is a cave, and you still can't sleep? That's when a lot of us reach for a pill. For our last section, let's ask the big question. Are sleep aids a help or a hindrance? You've basically got two main types, and it's so important to know the difference. Prescription Z drugs are really powerful. They'll knock you out for sure. But they often don't help you stay asleep, and they come with a real risk of dependence. Over-the-counter stuff can leave you feeling super groggy the next day, and some studies suggest there could be long-term risks, especially for older adults.
Ah, melatonin. So many people think of this as just a simple, natural sleeping pill. But that's not really what it is. It's not a sedative. It doesn't knock you out. Its real job is to help regulate your internal body clock, your circadian rhythm. That's why it's great for things like jet lag. But a major word of caution. The dosages you find over the counter can be ridiculously, unnecessarily high.
And this right here is such a critical point to remember. Just because something is labeled natural doesn't automatically mean it's safe or that you can take as much as you want. You really have to be a smart, cautious consumer, especially with supplements that aren't very tightly regulated. As we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you with a pretty wild number. This is the official record for the longest a human has voluntarily gone without any sleep, set way back in 1986. And get this, the Guinness Book of World Records actually stopped tracking this feat. They won't even recognize it anymore because they decided it's just too dangerous to encourage anyone to even try. That's how fundamentally vital sleep is to our survival. Which really brings us to our final thought. So often, we act like sleep is this luxury item, something we can cut back on when life gets busy. But all the science, all the evidence, shows that it's a biological necessity, just as important as the air you breathe or the water you drink. So maybe the real question is, isn't it time we all started treating it that way?